Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the USA Ultimate Division I College Championships is presented by Breakmark. Visit them on the web at breakmark.com.
The USA Ultimate Division I College Championships, where dynasties are built, legends are written, and legacies secured. Over 500 teams began this journey, but there will be only 2 left standing as champions.
It's semifinals time here at the 2024 Division I College Championships. Vermont Ruckus, Stanford Superfly, a highly anticipated matchup. We can't wait. Theo on here with Kelsey Percy. What are you looking forward to in this matchup?
I'm so excited for this matchup. This Ruckus team has been bringing the noise all tournament. They are athletic. They are almost impossible to match up on. They create so much trouble for the other team. But if anyone's going to have a response, it's going to be this Stanford team. Philippek is blindingly fast, able to read the small spaces, but such depth on both of these teams. There's just so much to talk about, Theo.
We're going to start with the 2-seed overall, Vermont. This program has continued to rise the college ranks, bettering their finish year after year, back into the semifinals once again.
Yeah, this Vermont team just keeps learning, keeps coming back, more committed, more able to fight further. I love that progression. First nationals getting the taste, moving into quarters, moving into semis, and now semis again. I would argue maybe the favorites coming in to make it to the finals.
They knocked off the number 1 seed UBC earlier, a 12-10 victory. And they had to fight through, like we said, the number 1 seed who had suffered a tough loss to Tufts in pool play. And celebrating the win, you can see McCarthy very excited, one of the star players for this team. Vermont back to the semifinals once again after making it last year. This was a big shock because Vermont in 2022 up 8-5, lost 15-8. Not able to score after that, and in 2023 lost to the eventual champions, UNC Pleiades. So this team is ready to continue to ascend the ranks and learn from those games and those losses.
Improved mental toughness. They've played the top team that year. They lost to Pleiades. That's the national champion that year. So they're playing the top competition each time, trying to come in a little bit more, a little bit closer, constantly striving for the top. This team is fully bought in. They have all the pieces. Yeah, we talked about McCarthy, but also their number 2, Lucinda Toppin, huge contributor to this team.
Toppin going to be a rock on the offensive line here. We've seen the ascension of this Vermont team. One of the favorites, as we mentioned, heading into this tournament, and now going to have to take on a pretty strong Stanford squad. And if they're going to do it, they're going to look to number 11. That's Kennedy McCarthy, their Callahan nominee and a Callahan finalist.
McCarthy absorbing so many of the shots, really being aggressive. Lines for the weekend so far, 10 goals, 10 assists, 5 blocks. Higher number, 13 turns there, but again, really using the volume of throws, the ability to stretch the field, creating opportunities for this Vermont team. One of the things to consider, even looking at that higher number of turns, the really atrocious weather conditions. McCarthy, so physical, so capable in the air, explosive on the cuts, tracking things down, always mindful of body positioning. And watch as she opens up this field with this gorgeous cross-field show.
They defeated UBC in that game as well. They were behind in that contest, able to come back and win. That was the finals of Stanford Invite. And we're going to look at the other side as well. They got a star player of their own. Number 5, Esther Philippek, the lefty handler, can do it all for Stanford. You mentioned the speed, also got the throws, going to anchor a lot on the turn as well for this defensive line.
Yeah, Philippek was tested. One of the streams we saw was that very first contest. Carleton, Stanford, Carleton with their own flyby with Tori Gray, but Philippek seemed unfazed, and not just that, impossible to tire out. Incredible engine, always producing at this really high level in the small spaces, but I love Philippek on this D-line, playing the hot defense and then mastering the counterattack.
McCarthy, Emily Posey, and Lucy Toppin right now in the backfield for the team in white. That's Vermont. Can't be understated the conditions that we're in, and that's going to continue to play a factor throughout this game.
I'm liking this immediate zone look, really junky, making it hard, lots of touches. The more throws you make, we just saw in that previous quarterfinal, huge number of turns. These are brutal conditions. The ability to execute and get easy resets moving through, just showing the poise of this Vermont team.
McCarthy moving things through for Vermont as they try to punch in this offensive point.
Good communication from these Vermont handlers.
Toppin going with the hammer to an unmarked target in Ella Monahan, but it's not going to work out.
And we saw a lot of this in the previous game. It's so tempting to hit what looks like open hands, but your throws are not going to come out of your hand the way they usually do. They're not going to cut through the air they usually do. And it's so tough to get to full speed with the slickness of the turf.
This throw for Stanford going to go out of bounds. Good effort from Rachel Litt, but it's going to stay now with Vermont. Posey moving things forward. Finds Caroline Stone. Had a breakout rookie season for this Vermont team last year, a native of Austin, Texas.
The field is so compressed right now. Look how many players are around the disc. Vermont did a really good job of using their legs, moving through this space, but right now they're really disconnected from their next tier of cutters.
Saw Toppin throw that hammer that did not work out, looking for star rookie Ella Monahan, which we'll talk about later on in the broadcast. McCarthy popping it through, but it's Philippek swooping in for the block. Talked about Philippek at the top of the broadcast, and you see why. Philippek going deep. That throw's going to be short and taken down by McCarthy. And one turn leads to another for Vermont. Looks like there's an injury called as well. Nicole Lambert going to walk off the field for Stanford.
That's a tough one. Lambert just back this tournament from injury all season. An immediate impact and playmaker for the Stanford team.
Okay. I'll get to it at a stoppage, or when we get between points.
Looks like maybe start playing. Take a sub match.
So we've got Mitch Dangler up with us in the booth. A little bit of clarification here. Mitch, walk me through that again. What are we seeing with that card?
Well, there wasn't a card. There was a injury timeout or an injury sub, and it looked like they started play before the other team was allowed to take their matching injury sub.
Got it. Okay. So just a violation there.
Yeah, that's what it looks like from here.
Yeah. Oh. Zena look to scoot up.
Philippek moving things forward as Stanford trying to cash in this break opportunity. Would be a great momentum booster, but Posey says not right now, getting the block.
Posey's been a huge contributor so far in this tournament, taking a lot of the volume of throws for this Vermont team.
Swatted down. Great play there from Siobhan Yip.
Just again, appreciation for the suffocating defense from this Stanford team.
Philippak going around, but it's bobbled. A low throw. Yip trying to make the play.
I think a little bit more step out from Philippak and that throw goes. But instead, another opportunity for Vermont. So many turns in this first point.
McCarthy gonna go long. No one in sight.
Another look at the shot deep. If I'm Vermont and I don't like my options, I'm just booking it downfield to keep from turning it with a short field. You don't want Stanford right there on the doorstep. You don't want to make it easy. Another look at this potential foul.
Okay, so we have a strip call. Contest. Okay, leave it contest, or does either player want to come to me for a ruling? Okay, my ruling, not a foul. It's here. 10.
Okay. Like how we saw nods from Mitch up here in the booth. Looked super clean. A little bit of saucy tossing it into the back of the observer there.
This point, 11 turnovers so far. Stanford still out on defense. Yep, got a block earlier, now with the disc. Inside shot to Philippak. No one going deep yet. Toppin swatted it, but it's caught by Stanford. They'll continue moving on. Looking deep. And they'll reel it in for the score.
Bear with the huge save there, airs it out immediately. Bear has been such a key part of this Stanford team. Part of that kind of 1-2 punch. This Stanford team, you can lean on McGinley Smith, but on this counterattack for this D-line, when they're in their break space, you're gonna see Harper Bear be a huge part of that.
Georgia Walker Kelleher with the grab. That was a long point. We'll see what Vermont decides to do with their offense. A lot of turnovers, 6 from Vermont, 5 from Stanford. We'll see what Ruckus decides to put out here on this next offensive possession.
11 turns, but it is Stanford who comes away with the break, and that makes it tough because Vermont immediately has to decide, do they pull any of their starters off? Do they have enough in the tank? You don't want to let Stanford go on a break train run right here at the beginning of the first half.
I'm gonna point.
When you talk about legacy, talk about college legacy, you got to look at Stanford Superfly. Most championships in college history with 8. So they're used to this stage. You know, alumni are going to be out there supporting them as they make their run, trying to win another national title, add one to the trophy case.
Yeah, so Stanford just a perennial, but systems, products, really strong youth scene. Stanford has it all.
Good grab to keep things alive from Trebilovich. Rookie from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Working a little give-go now. That disc is up. It's going to stay alive for Vermont. McCarthy now zips it forward, and they'll get the hold.
Stone found the inside lane. Trebilovich there keeping it alive. Huge energy. Arms up, heads up, body language up for this Vermont team. Tough to take a break here in the front, but we've seen teams come back. Another look at this huge second effort. Small windows, tough pressure. Stanford's not making it easy, but Vermont with the hold.
So taking a look, we talked about the star Kennedy McCarthy, highlighted her as number 11. Normally wears 11, wearing 33 here, and we don't, of course, have confirmation as to the reason why, but one of her teammates, Sophie Acker, a big star player for this team, an all-region player, out for the season with a torn ACL. So Of course, that's not full confirmation. It's just speculation from up here in the booth.
Maybe wearing it for the teammate. That way, Sophie's still able to get time on the field, still able to get these lines. They're in spirit.
Yeah, wearing it as a tribute. That's a great show of teammate respect and camaraderie there.
Got a little bit of shot of Sophie. She's on the sideline in a boot and crutches, still here, still energy contributing.
Stanford offense out now, Bear. Keeping things alive, that's Harper Bear.
Love having Bear on this sideline. That lefty, the ability to go cross field with the backhand. Just so clutch. High stall.
And official Lopez has to get rid of it. It's going to settle into the feet of McCarthy. McCarthy playing her third straight point. Same thing with Posey. I expect a lot of those players getting high mileage.
First break opportunity here for Vermont.
Stay on this throw here. So it's here. We're on one. On a check on one. Yes, one.
Going cross field and just evades the grasp of Issa Brown.
Not too
A good look
far.
from Browning, though.
Still gusting winds, mostly going cross field here. That's going to affect throws, but fully expect both these teams to still be attacking. They've got to play the deep game, not just the unders.
This throw's going to pop up as well, but Bear will save it. Going to load up a backhand. Looking for McGinley Smith, who evades the diving clutches of McCarthy. Reset is also saved again. Stanford keeping things alive. Macy Volbrecht. A collision there as multiple players trying to make a play on the disc. McGinley Smith and Leah Silverman colliding. Both players trying to make a play on a disc that popped up and evaded a couple other receivers as well.
Yeah, it looks like Silverman just got spun completely around, hit the ground super hard, body out of control. That's a tough one. Lots of chaos, lots of traffic. After so many heroic efforts from Stanford to keep it alive. Thea, while we've got a little bit of downhand, good, on her feet. That's great to see. Stanford had a really good initiation play from that front gun, really smoothly worked it out of their own half, but as soon as they got into the red zone.
Okay, tap, and we're good. 20.
Getting a lot more compressed, looking rushed. Deep stack here for Vermont. And an immediate turn.
That throw from Posey a little too far for Browning. Just outside the end zone. Philippek trying to get it back. And it was tipped. Shot going up. But just a little too far for Issa Berman once again.
Had tons of air underneath it. Maybe a little bit of push help from the wind. Lots of leg, but not able to get there. Berman really tried. But Stanford all the way in their end zone.
Good pressure from Posey, but there's going to be a foul called by Amelia Hawkins. As the rain settled down a bit, sidelines started packing here for the first of two women's semifinals.
Yeah, these cold conditions, not fun to play in. Sideline presence and energy going to be a huge factor here in the semifinal game.
Moving things forward now. Bear loading up. Decides better of it and fakes it. Flips it to a fellow lefty, and Philippek thought there was going to blade and hit the turf.
Yeah, I think that cut just too far down the field. I loved Bear airing out the lefty backhand, not taking it, but moving the defense. So she got the easy over the top to Philippek. It was beautiful power position, but the execution just not there. I think Philippek pushing to try and get the disc through. She's had that throw earlier this tournament.
McGinley-Smith gets a hand on the intended pass from McCarthy. Restoring possession for Stanford. Philippek looking reset. Finds Anna Fisher-Lopez, who plays a little pitch and catch with number 5. Going to be a foul called here. Balbrecht getting hit by Mae Browning.
No contest, foul, no contest. Okay, foul, no.
Super straightforward foul, no contest there.
So she can tap it in once everybody's ready.
I like Philippek using the legs to really cut through, but mis-executing for me on the throws, just hitting some of these really tight windows.
High stall and had to rush a throw in to Bear, and it's knocked down by one of the top defenders for this team, Nadia Scopatone. Browning has the disc now, needing a reset, finds McCarthy. Vermont pinned in their own end of the field as Scopatone now with it.
Scopatone's been a breakout player for this Vermont team. Long legs, long arms, everything you want in a receiver.
Also does a great job in the deep space as a defender. The shot going up from McCarthy, working against McGinley-Smith. Right hand grab from McCarthy.
If you've got to go for a bailout, McCarthy is a wonderful target.
Lisa Berman wanted something on the break side. Now hits Browning. Browning looking for McCarthy, but it's swatted down 2 times by McGinley-Smith.
Body blows back and forth. McCarthy gets the first one, but McKinley-Smith takes the second. Loving this matchup.
They're trying to go with the left-hand snag, but Browning was in the area. Saw a lot of turnovers in that first offensive point as well for Vermont. We're seeing the same now, 9 turnovers total so far. Ozzy trust throw, flipping it to Browning. Browning looking into the end zone. It'll be ruled a score and caught. That's Ella Monahan with the goal.
Love this first touch from Ella Monahan. Monahan is a freshman, folks, but having a fantastic tournament. I love, again, this is one of my favorite parts about this Vermont team, that you can go top to bottom starting line and then go deeper and still have people that are arguably could take the top matchups of another team's defense.
When you're a program, we talked about the ascension of Vermont. You're going to start to attract those kind of recruits. You're going to get them to continue to come to your program. You get a 5-star recruit who's now on the U20 team. You see what they've done this tournament. 4-0 in pool play. Relatively untested as well.
Dominance. This is pure dominance. And these are good teams. Colorado has the firepower, and Vermont completely in control in that game. Michigan as well can put up numbers, not, for me, barely making it out of half. UBC, the 1 seed, 12-10, still a handy finish. Hard not to buy in for this Vermont team.
Stanford in their own right, they've had a battle. We saw it on the showcase field here earlier yesterday, a 14-13 thrilling win to get the W in that one.
Yeah, gritty wins over Carleton. That may help them. If they can stay neck and neck with Vermont through this semi, that grit that they've already found, that gear that they know they can go to, that could pull them out, keep them in this game.
They had to get 2 blocks on that universe point to win it. Eventually, Philippek found Sage McGinley-Smith for the score. But it took a lot of that grindy defense, as you talked about. Some miscommunication with Philippek, and Bear is going to give the disc over to Vermont. McCarthy not on the field right now. Scopatone is. And also no Lucy Toppin or Emily Posey. So we're going to see what other handlers can step up for this Vermont team. It's going to be taken away by Stanford. And they're going right away looking for it all. It's going to settle into the turf.
That shot was intended for Georgia Walker-Kaler. Georgia, another freshman for this Stanford team. They love her height and athleticism. Before she stepped on the field for this Stanford team, had never played Ultimate. Brand new to the sport, bright future.
A drop right near the end zone for Vermont is going to gift a short field opportunity for Stanford. Philippek playing her 4th point in a row. Little righty throw, normally a lefty. Going to go with that nifty dish for the score to Kiana Hugh.
Stanford keeps it even. They needed the big one, folks. This is a battle of energy. Execution not 100% there for both teams. They know it. They've got to get gritty. They've got to stay in this. Vermont had it their way in the first point. Here Stanford able to take it back. Pressure from Vermont, but no problem for Stanford.
Kiana Hugh knew what Philippek wanted. Talked about the high usage player that Philippek's going to be. Going to buzz around with the throws both on defensive line and offensive line. So going to get a lot of high mileage in this game is Esther Philippek, an all-region player. First team All-American last year as well.
Yeah, this team knows the range of Philippek's throws, loves the timing. That lefty backhand, so much touch and execution. Now you're seeing some brighter weather days though. We had like a moment of sunshine there yesterday. It was a long moment, but it seems so far away as the rain just continues to downpour here in the semifinal. Optimism, conviction, you heard it there in the huddle for Stanford. They're pumped, their energy is high, they're ready to take it to this Vermont team.
2-2 the scoreline, and Stanford electing to call a timeout there. See what kind of personnel they put out on this defensive line. Robin Davis, Shayla Harrison, Jenny Loomis, a star coaching staff for this Stanford team. Philippek back out there, of course. Trying to marshal this D-line offense to another break.
Loomis so optimistic about the future of this program. They've got some incredible players now, but they love what they're seeing out of their freshman and sophomore classes. Lots of good stuff for years to come. Big pull, lots of hang time from Philippek.
Toppin hitting Stone on the underneath. Philippek going to go up against Toppin, so two top-end handlers going at it. Plater needs something and finds Toppin. Toppin pointing, looking in the end zone for McCarthy. Will it stay in bounds? Great effort from McCarthy, but it will not work out.
McCarthy picked the shot. You saw the connection there between Toppin.
Who resets it to Philippek. Can they get on the move? Yep, also involved in that little quick movement.
Philippek not fazed by previous turns, airing the disc out and getting better field position for the Stanford team.
Yep, getting low for that throw, finding who? Throw batted but caught on the second effort. As Stanford keeps things alive on this break opportunity. Philippek give go. Spinning around and throwing a huge reset to the other side of the field. Finds Ruby Gates. was popped up but caught, or excuse me, not caught, hits the turf.
Anokakwan had the previous second effort save, unable to make it this time though.
Great two-hand clap catch by Clater. Clater dished it off and now into the stack as the disc will settle in the hands of Stone. Toppin hits the target in Trebilovich for the score.
You hear this volume rising. The sidelines are here. They're in it. Huge output from both of these teams. Big efforts, big opportunities. It's a brawl here in this women's semifinal.
Let's fucking go.
Saw the effort from Vermont here, trying to make a play. Able to get it back. Good defense. That was tipped by McCarthy on the mark. Then Stone going the other way.
Look at this effort. The concentration, the contact could have shaken it free, but Clapped held on to it all the way through. And then the bursting speed getting separation on the end zone line. Vermont is starting to fire. They are so dangerous when they get momentum. Best thing for Stanford here would be a clean hold, but it's been messy so far.
Disc in the hands of Philip Peck as a poach in the lane from Scopatone will force a reset over to Volbrecht. McGinley Smith coming underneath, but a poach off from Browning kind of deterred that catch. Going the other way, and good effort from Berman, but the pressure from Fisher Lopez prevented that catch from being completed.
You saw Bear square up, make sure she had body behind that disc, but it does open the window for defense to run through, and you're seeing this defensive pressure continue to be effective against the Stanford offense.
Browning finding Posey on a reset. Posey crossing over here for this defensive point. Scopatone now in the red zone, hits Posey, trying to go up line, will do it and catch it for the score, and Vermont gets a break.
Score there, Scopatone. Big celebration up into the air. Again, listen to the sidelines. Listen to the teams. The energy is so high in this semifinal right now. Vermont up 2, but it feels like we're already halfway through the game just in terms of the output of what both these teams are doing. Vermont really feels like they've got Stanford's number right now. Stanford cannot continue to give up these turns, especially if Vermont's going to execute on the counterattack like they just did.
Can see the relief on the face of Scopatone there, getting a goal.
That's exactly where my head was going, Theo. The relief. Oh, yay, I don't have to run anymore. Hold it, wait. Going back out on the line again.
Scopatone, one of a handful of players that's homegrown from Vermont, playing in the youth club scene there with Equinox. So they're getting those recruits, as we talked about, from across the country. We talked about Stone from Texas. You're also going to get a recruit from Seattle, Washington, and Ella Monahan. Then you have homegrown talent. That's a recipe for success. McCarthy going to set a second point here. So when you get a break without having to cross over as many players, that's going to bid you success
Huge pull from Posey sends Stanford way back in their end zone. Their centering pass still on their end zone line.
Fisher Lopez, that saved things with the left hand. That could have been dangerous.
Athletic offhand grab. Fisher Lopez unfazed.
Devi Weir can't come up with it, and Vermont trying to attack once again. Of note, no Philippek on the field right now. They're trying to go with a zone in transition. That is swatted by McGinley Smith, but caught by Ruckus. Zipping it forward and reeling in for the score is Vermont once again. Berman getting the goal.
Just went over the fingertips of Hawkins. Berman was out in space. Everything is working right now for this Vermont team, and look at again, I'm hitting these sidelines, but the volume is there. The players are hyped up. This Vermont men's team is in the corner of their women's and fired up. So tough for Hawkins. There on the turn, disc just popping up in the wind.
Three straight points for Vermont. Browning with the second goal in this contest. Excuse me, second assist.
And that's Volbrecht there. Volbrecht, Callahan nominee for this Stanford team, has been so effective in the deep space. Almost a wrist if that's not typically who you would throw a deep look in the direction of. If Volbrecht's in the area, you kind of feel she soak it up, but not able to close and make a play. Some down body language right now from the Stanford team.
It's a big contrast in sidelines right now and kind of the team atmosphere. Stanford calling their second timeout of the half, sensing the importance of this next point. 5-2 the scoreline right now. Vermont's gone 3 breaks so far in this half. The thing you always wonder is when a team has high energy, can they bring that same energy when things aren't going right? Because it's easy when you're getting multiple breaks to be this excited. Can you also have that when Stanford inevitably is going to punch back?
This Vermont team, yes. They seem to celebrate all the way. Vermont kind of like Oregon Ego in that they kind of sing and celebrate their ways all the way through warm-ups. Really high energy team. But it's a very good question, Theo. And one that I want to see them put to practice. I fully expect this Stanford team to be able to punch back.
Annie Posey now, sister of Emily, set to pull. As this pull is going to sail out of bounds. I know some coaches in the audience, I'm not going to say who, don't love the out-of-bounds pull, especially off a timeout. You really want to put pressure on that offensive team that just called the timeout. But Stanford going to settle in off a stoppage there.
You won't say who. Baiting me there, Theo?
I'll try not to.
I make no bones about it.
That throw lands in front of 2 Stanford players, and Vermont attacking right away. And Kennedy McCarthy making the play, sticking out the right hand for the grab.
All the acrobatics here from Kennedy McCarthy. You see the sellers from the sideline, the men's team calling out the athleticism. Ruckus bringing the noise here in the first half of the semifinal.
Annie Posey getting involved. Throwing that assist right there to McCarthy, who had to snag it out of the arms of Volbrecht. So everything going right, at least right now, for Vermont.
Posey having impacts both ways.
A luxury you have is when you have your men's and women's program both here at this tournament. There's only a few schools with that. And so you get that support, especially when you're playing a high-stakes game like this semifinal.
Yeah, the women definitely feeding off of it on this Vermont team. You could see their sideline leaning in, chanting back with the players.
And again, an out-of-bounds pull. So Philippek and this Stanford team going to be able to walk it up to the brick mark here.
It's just a gift of position, especially when you've been able to break and break and break. Now, I'd take an intentional roll or pin them on the sideline. Love that strategy.
Trying to keep the feet in bounds, but there was a travel called before that. McCarthy calling on a Volbrecht.
Big effort there from Hawkins. You can see maybe a little bit of awkwardness from the landing.
Bobbled but caught. Making sure was Quan. Hawkins trying to direct traffic, finds Quan, who's had to make a couple incredible grabs so far for Stanford. The wind popping this break side throw up above the defender and caught for Stanford. That's McGinley Smith.
Love Quan attacking with the legs, putting up the backhand, attacking against the grain. If it's not working for your primary players, use your depth. I love it when other players step up and fill the space. Stanford able to put in a goal, stop the bleeding.
Evaded the outstretched hands there of the mark of Vermont for the score. They needed that one in a bad way, did Stanford. McGinley Smith last year, Ultiworld's Division I Breakout Player of the Year. Had a strong season for Stanford and continued that into this year as well. A favorite target of who you just saw on the screen, Esther Philippak, the lefty handler. This pull will land in bounds. See if the Stanford defense can generate some pressure here.
Again, this zone pressure, this saggy. The rain has increased again. Stanford was containing, but now it feels like Vermont's broken out into the open.
This throw popping up and scooped up. That's Quan. Quan all the grabs right now for Stanford.
Remember, Quan had those 2 second attempts.
This is a low zippy throw. Couple players there, but perhaps need a little more love there to float it out into space.
That was a laser. I love the sight line and direction, but you've got to execute that throw better. I think maybe because the players were already so deep, trying to add some extra muscle to it, and you just can't do that in these conditions right now.
Vermont gonna have to work it from the shadow of their own end zone here. Eventually get out of there over to Clater. Talk about great catches. We see one there from Stone. Things gonna continue now. A couple batted discs. A lot of players showing some good concentration, keeping things alive.
Big containment here from this Stanford Cup. I'd like to see them make more of an effort to keep it trapped on the sideline. It really just feels like they're letting Vermont take their shots.
McCarthy tapping my bad after that catch, or attempted catch. Stanford trying to be out on the move. Philippek dipping it forward.
A little bit too much heat. I think the Stanford players are used to pulling in these Philippek shots usually do have a lot of pace on them, but too much right now. I want to see an adjustment from Pilipek on her throws.
Saw one from Kwan earlier that was lasered into the end zone, evading the hands of a teammate. Working it down the line, Emily Posey throwing the assist, and Tribulovic getting a goal.
Filipek in the hunt. Filipek just not looking as effective as she has in other games. Right now, Vermont getting everything they want. Loved that Stanford was able to slow them down, but when they got opportunities, they have to take advantage of them.
I like the idea, looking for a teammate in Chartrand, but just a little too far, lasered, as we said. And you like to see the resilience. We talk about mental toughness a lot. A lot of teams imparting that into their systems, mental performance, and we're seeing the resilience here. You have a bobbled catch. Your O-line could have crumbled potentially there, but they're able to respond, get the hold.
Vermont, we talked about the mental toughness each year coming back stronger. You're really seeing that here in these truly miserable conditions. Looking full energy, strong body posture, high energy, and able to respond regardless of the different looks that Stanford is throwing.
One of the coaches, Sarah Jacoby, talking with the offensive line. As they're trying to clean things up, it's you scored, but there's always little things to tinker here and there.
Yes. Continuing to pull Filipek over to this offensive line as they're trying to get some continuity. Again, Filipek typically starting on the D-line. They love having her there for the counterattack, but that's when things are going their way. They haven't had as game quite this pressured this entire tournament.
We know that Vermont's going to dominate a lot of teams athletically here. Seeing how Stanford can respond to that.
Scopatoni there on the pressure. And again, just things not falling the way. That's typically a break that Filipek gets off.
Now Vermont trying to take a real stranglehold on this contest. Scopatoni sure-handed. Doorstep of the end zone. Silverman resets it to Browning. Browning looking for Pauly, a rookie, but the disc hitting the turf, sliding out. Despite the turnover, you hear Vermont chill. Still got the cheers going on. Bringing out that soccer atmosphere you might see in Europe. Love that here in Madison, Wisconsin.
Say, this is giving me D3 vibes. That's the most cheering I have ever heard in my life. If you haven't ever bought a ticket for D3 Nationals, do that next year. Do yourself a favor.
High stall situation, reset back. Vermont trying to run their end zone set here. Browning having to spin around was the receiver, and Stanford, couple defenders helping in the back, knocking it down.
Vermont just seems keyed into this front right side cone. I would love to see them swing the disc, really get some movement. Everyone at that point was so compressed into just a fraction of the field.
They're not able to secure that catch, and Vermont counterattack, looking for half here. Up the line for Berman. Berman now. Hits it around to Browning. Browning continuing to the break side, but is knocked down by McGinley Smith.
I think Browning was expecting Posey to continue that cut, would have just continued the progression across the field. Instead, Posey pulls up and the shot goes wide.
Though they have Stanford pinned on the sideline. See what that leads to. Filipek going up the line, sneaking that throw into Fisher Lopez.
If you're Stanford, it is so tough to be disciplined right now. You just want to air it out and get it away from your end zone, but they need to maintain possession.
Filipek, nice snag, then hucking it deep. Smacked away, and then a collision there. Rita Narbonne making the block and then hitting McGinley Smith.
So we're going to ask some opinions of Mitch Dangler. Some consideration, was that a dangerous play? It's so much contact. Thoughts, Mitch?
You got two players coming in opposite trajectories, meeting at the disc at the time the disc is arriving. This one doesn't look very definitive either way, I'll say. It's watching the replay here. Yeah, she jumps, she lands, and then her momentum brings her into the player who's fairly stationary. Not the best look.
So not super clean cut. Saying not the best look. Could go either way. Curious to see what the...
As far as the resolution is concerned, have you figured that out yet, or do you want to go to the observer or send it back?
Well, the call is made on the player who was...
I'm calling a dangerous play for a foul because I felt like it was a dangerous play.
Correct.
I felt like I had a direct line to this. I was about to catch it. As I was about to catch it, I got just knocked into. And that prevented me without contact from the disc.
Okay.
And it felt like she played my body and not this.
Okay.
But again, so you can, I guess you guys can contest it, or you can go to the observer.
Just need somebody to make a decision. Do you want to send it back? Do you want to agree with the foul? Or do you want to go to the observer? Now, it was number 38 38 who subbed out, right? Okay.
Yes. Yep.
So I guess you two would have to contest on her behalf.
I would contest on her behalf.
Okay. So would you want to send it back and go to the observer?
I want to go to the observer.
Okay. The observer ruling that it was a dangerous play. It is a foul. It's a receiving foul, so you're awarded the disc, and number 38 is going to receive a yellow card for that action. Here you go.
Fairly stationary.
Okay, so you heard it. Dangerous play. Yellow card is awarded for that play. Narbum was the one who took the injury there. So McGinley Smith will keep possession of the disc.
When we come to the point where we're going to restart, it'll be a defensive check.
I'm sorry. It was a dangerous play and a receiving foul. The fouled player is awarded the disc.
Okay, but...
Hey, take front cone.
Coach is looking a little bit shell-shocked there, maybe not understanding what happened on the field. Communicated from the observer, play will be started again.
One thing to note there is that even though the play on the disc by the defender was before the contact, dangerous play takes out the timing element of that, and so it's treated as a receiving foul regardless of the contact being before or after the play on the disc.
Appreciate Dangler's thoughts here in the booth as this throw going to pop up. And it's caught by Stanford. Amelia Hawkins, maybe shocked that that throw evaded so many players, eventually landed into the hands of 22.
Emotional roller coaster here. The injury, the dangerous play, the continuation of play, maybe before everyone was back on the same page. The Hail Mary shot, that was a bailout if I've ever seen one. Over multiple hands, multiple players in the area, but it is Hawkins that comes down with it. Another look again at this shot from Volbrecht. Didn't have the first option, didn't have the second, didn't have the third. Finally just pops it up. McGinley Smith pulling all the defense there. Watch again from this back perspective. McGinley Smith, defense converges, but my favorite thing in the world as a coach when you're in that end zone is when you've got people going post, you need, as defense, someone to run sweep. Hawkins did that for the offense. Ran sweep behind the play, was there to pick up the trash.
Now let's see. Vermont trying to take half, doubled up the Stanford team. That's their hope right now. Is this pole going to hang for a long time over to Posey?
And that was a hold for Stanford.
Throw going deep right now for Vermont. Top and normally in the backfield, out in the receiving space. knocking at the end zone door. And they get through the door as they score with Caroline Stone.
Berman to Stone, what a classic. That felt so smooth and easy. All of the chaos of the previous, and Vermont right back, takes half, up 8-4. I'm not sure this is what I expected. I knew this Vermont team was so potent, so powerful, so athletic. But Stanford's got another gear, and I hope to Christmas that they bring it in the second half.
Such a momentum killer for Stanford, though, if you're Vermont, because you generated a couple turns on that last defensive point, then your offensive point, you're able to get a hold here, and a clean hold at that. Stone with the grab and celebration. As we take a look at the game stats, what stands out to you, Kelsey?
Number of turnovers in the first half, 43 total. Stanford just with a few more. Break chances, though, Vermont 15, executing on 4 of them. It's not the prettiest percentages in the world, but they're getting it done in nasty, nasty weather. 2 clean holds to boot.
Clean holds seemed like they were hard to come by in this half, but as the weather subsides, we're knocking on wood here. Vermont in good spirits right now. And we go to field side with one of the coaches of Vermont, Sarah Jacoby. Sarah, 8-4 first half. What are you seeing out there from your perspective to lead to this success so far?
I think it's our relentless pressure on defense. It's the bread and butter of the Ruckus program. We come out here and play as hard as we can, and we try to deny the disc, make the resets really hard, and protect the open side. It's, that's what we're doing. Bring in the pressure.
One of the things that I love about your team, and I think that you're really bringing to the forefront, is the depth that you just have so many different players with playmaking capability. Who are you really excited about? Who are you seeing performing this game?
I think Leah Silverman has been playing incredible shutdown defense the entire game. She's locking up their handlers. They have no options, and it's pretty fun to watch.
So heading into the second half, are there any adjustments you're trying to make to try to get this win and head to the final?
Yeah, I think we just need to calm down a little bit on offense. Sometimes that intense defensive energy can really make us seem pretty frantic, and when we get the disc in our hands, it's really about running our systems and running our end zone and marching the disc down the field.
So, Coach, seeing tons and tons of energy from your men's team on the sideline, what does it mean to have your men's team here supporting you?
I think it's incredible for the Vermont program to be here. We just have a great program that we're building in Vermont. This was the first year that we had our A, B, and C teams at regionals together, and we have such energy from our men's team this weekend. It's really cool to see the program come together and support one another.
Love that.
Really cool to see what's building in Vermont here. And Sarah, wishing you and your team the best of luck in the second half.
Thanks so much.
It's been a thrilling first half here. Vermont showing that they have the might right now. Their athleticism coming through, making a couple athletic plays. Stanford going to try to fight back here in the second half. Kelsey, any thoughts as we wrap up this first half?
Just an incredible performance from this Vermont team. Again, want to see more out of Stanford. Vermont, Stanford, second half coming soon. Join us shortly.
USA Ultimate College Championships are presented by Discraft, home of the UltraStar, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Your place for all your ultimate and disc golf needs. Visit discraft.com. We make flying discs fun.
We're about to be in the second half, but it's the men's Callahan ceremony right now. Looking at all the finalists here. Rutledge Smith of North Carolina, Paul Krennick from Minnesota, Suhas Mataraju from NC State, Jock Nissen from Brown, and Aiden Downey from Georgia.
As is a high caliber group of players.
In the fall of 2019. He is a fantastic player, an explosive athlete, a tenacious defender, and a constant hard worker. But Alpha decided to nominate him for the Callahan because of much more than his on-field abilities. Suhas has been a leader for Alpha for years. He is willing to put his body, mind, time, and energy into the Alpha program. Suhas has the back of every player on the team and is everyone's biggest supporter. From North Carolina State University Alpha, Suhas Mataraju. And now please put your hands together for this year's Callahan Award winner in the men's division, from the University of Georgia.
Congratulations to Georgia's Aiden Downey, this year's Callahan Award winner in the men's division. You see his Georgia teammates pumped up as he wins the Callahan Award. You can check out his highlight video as well. It's on Ultiworld.com. You can find it.
Yeah, sweetness there out of bittersweet nationals for Georgia. They were ranked high. They had a beautiful first and second day as far as the weather was not concerned. But Aiden Downing winning the Callahan, giving them something to cheer about. Aiden Downing, high performance for the U24 team. Paul Krennick, one of his teammates there. Another you'll see there on the film, Adam Miller. But Downing, God, he's been such a powerhouse. He has been a presence all the way through high school nationals, now here at this nationals, and someone that I know we'll be talking about for years to come.
You mentioned that already. It's kind of like the good of kind of a not so great nationals in terms of expectation for Georgia. Such a high seed, but they'll celebrate this teammate victory here of their Callahan Award. Amidst that ceremony and the conclusion of it, we're going to head down to fieldside with one of Stanford's coaches, Robin Davis. Thank you for joining us, Robin, giving us of your time. What did you see out there in the first half?
Sorry about my voice. We came out really strong. Our zone looked awesome. I think we've got a little bit of first half jitters, semis jitters. Yeah, so we've got a lot of things going well, but got to work on some, like calming down our nerves.
Yeah, Coach, utter belief that y'all have another gear. Excited to see how that comes out. How are you getting your players into that mindset?
Yeah, we have a good huddle over there talking about trust in ourselves, believing in ourselves, and we're ready to go.
Robin, thank you for your time and wish you and Stanford the best of luck in the second half.
All right, thank you.
Always appreciate the coaching perspectives here as they're trying to bring their teams to victory. Right now, it's Vermont up 8-4. Second half action coming at you. Stanford trying to make a run here. They're going to start on offense. It's Vermont Ruckus, the 2 seed in this tournament, up 8-4 right now. Theo Wan joined by Kelsey Percy, and also head observer of this tournament, Mitch Dangler, who will chime in when it's needed.
Yeah, it's going to be a crucial one here for Stanford. They have been so successfully pressured, unable to get their first, second, or sometimes third options, continually having to bail out, earning the disc back, but just having to work so hard for so little against this Vermont team.
A miscue from Philippek to Kwan. Now Vermont working in the attacking half of the field. Browning's done a lot for the defensive line. That throw is going to hit the turf for Berman, so Stanford gets a reprieve, but there is a call. Perhaps that's what led to the turf throw there.
Reset. Positions the time of the throw, please. Once folks are set, we're going to restart with a defensive check coming in on stalling 1. Go ahead, check when ready.
Browning slicing through, getting things going now. Berman, the intended target earlier with the disc now. And it goes right into the hands of Stanford. Kwan gets it right back. Fisher Lopez working give and go with Philippek.
One adjustment I'd like to see from the Stanford team, with the wind, with the slickness, I feel like if they brought their stack in a little bit, it would make the range on Philippek's throws that much more effective. As it is, they're stretching, but not able to capitalize on the unders. And here Vermont with another opportunity to score.
Working through their goal line right now is Ruckus. An 8-4 half is a start you want in any semifinal. And Coach Robin Davis joining us at halftime, talking about potentially some of the nerves from the team, and they're trying to calm those down right now. For Vermont, you've been back at this stage. You were here last year, trying to exercise the demons of that loss in 2022, where they were up 8-5 and lost 15-8 to Colorado.
Yeah, completely different team. Mental toughness, very much present. That Colorado team had a lot of firepower. This Stanford team, a lot of firepower, but Vermont is in the driver's seat.
Right now, this is a defensive point. I'm not saying it's must score. You're just trying to whittle down this offensive line. Theoretically, all you need to do is just hold out and you get the W.
Yeah, in the game of attrition, Vermont is way ahead of Stanford. Just the number of minutes they've managed to clock with Philippek, Bear, Quan Hawkins, among others on this field.
Volbrecht gets it back for Stanford. Now on the move, Quan throws it forward to Hawkins for the cheers of the Stanford sideline.
Swing and a miss. Quan, one of the absolute highlights and bright shining stars of this Stanford team. She's been doing so many things right, small things, but also heroic efforts. Seen a lot of these bids to keep things in play, but I'm liking the execution from Quan in these spaces. So good to see a Stanford red zone punch.
These two teams met at Stanford Invite earlier in the year. Vermont winning 10-7. And if they're going to come back, they're going to need more skies like that from Volbrecht. But these teams have met before at the college championships in 2022 when Vermont bested them 15-13. Stanford hoping to change that narrative here as they try to inch their way back into this contest. One of the goals for Stanford coming in, kind of an outcome-based goal, Kelsey, was winning a tournament. They were close. They came second at Pres Day. So, coaches, you know, setting process goals, also some outcome-based goals as well. And that was something Stanford tried to hit, and they learned a lot from those experiences.
I love that nuance, Theo. And it's absolutely true. You need both. You need things that you could work through on the daily, but you also need the vision.
Speaking of vision, trying to go deep, but it's blocked by Stanford. Good pressure there from who else but Volbrecht.
Man, if Volbrecht is clicking, that's a whole nother Stanford version than we've seen up to date.
Yep, trying to scoop that up. There's going to be some discussion here. This will stay in the hands of Superfly. There now.
Like that they got the disc moving quickly.
Volbrecht juking up line. McCarthy, safe play to not hit Volbrecht on the poach attempt. But Stanford now out on the move.
That effort from McCarthy meant that her player was undefended. Stanford able to capitalize that, moving out into open ground.
Going to be a stoppage that halts play.
Do you know what stall count we're coming in on?
Say 5. So it'd be saying 5.
Stalling 5. When you're ready, in on 5.
Break throw for Stanford, but evades the arms of Ruby Gates.
Haven't seen a lot from Gates so far this game, but very capable in that deep space. That looked maybe just a little bit too aggressive. I'd love to see some more patience from Stanford. These red zone attempts and opportunities are so crucial to them when they're down this many to Vermont.
Throws here from the Vermont handler core as they're trying to inch through this zone.
And here you see the beauty of the crossover. McCarthy, Stone, Toppin, all present. But the smackdown D.
Stanford trying to cash in on this break. Thrown behind Volbrecht, but will receive it. Going up the line, working against Stone. McCarthy trying to help it, but Volbrecht makes the grab. Reset to Bear. Bear also out on this defensive line for Stanford.
Vermont doing such a good job of containing that up line. Again with the good switches.
Bobbled, almost caught by Siobhan Yip.
This is just heartbreaking. Stanford working it again and again, but Vermont continues to come up with the D.
Great save attempt leading to some audible O's from the audience on the sideline. Monahan trying to make that play.
Remember, folks, Monahan, a freshman, lots of Frisbee in her future, already seen the brightness.
Volbrecht going to the back corner. Lambert's going to reel it in. We'll see for the signal from the observers. McCarthy potentially arguing a bobble here.
The bobble's in there.
Our call.
Inbounds. It is a goal.
The delayed celebration, no less potent. A big, crucial score for Stanford. The break they needed to keep them in this game, they're now within 2.
What vision on the throw, too. Back corner, you often think everyone just trying to hit that front corner of the end zone, but we saw the vision there for the score.
Volbrecht has absolutely exploded in this second half. Callahan nominee for this Stanford team, and you see why. The range on the big sky, the defensive pressure when they needed it. Under pressure there from McCarthy, and still the eyes to the back of the end zone, finding the open player for that punch and breakout. What a phenomenal effort from Volbrecht.
I'd like to see the fight for Stanford coming out of the half, scoring 2 straight, making this a ball game right now.
Yeah, we're back in, and I was getting a little sad, Theo. I really like the Stanford team. I even like that they took down my Carleton home team, but I am so hot on Vermont. They have so much depth. I know they can respond, but how far can Stanford push this momentum?
They're going to come out into zone once again. Trying to gummy up this smooth, athletic offense. Making Vermont throw a lot of throws. We saw a few turnover-filled points early on, especially in that first one. And a hand block. McGinley Smith as Stanford right near the end zone, mere yards away. Volbrecht, the mark of McCarthy. Dishing it for the score. And Superfly gets another break.
Stanford can all of a sudden do no wrong. Everything is working. Everything is clicking. We talked about the mental toughness for Vermont. Now, right here, this moment is when they have to grit it out. They've just been taking body shot after body shot after body shot. How will they respond?
Kelsey, remember I asked you this earlier. A team with high energy, when Vermont was getting breaks, their energy was high. Dancing. How are they going to respond now, just getting punched in the mouth a little bit with 3 straight Stanford points?
Big factor here, their men's team on their sideline.
They're going to have to channel the energy from within, you're right, because Vermont has the men's team on the sideline. Stanford finding that from within right now.
We've got all the celebrations on the sideline, even got a little dinosaur action going on. Vermont is bringing the energy, willing their women back. I can't say back into this game. They've still got the lead, but it sure feels like the momentum has completely switched to Stanford.
You may have noticed, too, on some of the Vermont players, both on the men's and women's team, with dinosaur earrings when they play. So you can check that out as well. So perhaps a rallying cry for this team.
I love the little pieces of culture that come together to build the identity of a team. It's these idiosyncrasies, these small pieces that make up who they are, that they can lean into, that they can find things to laugh about. It's the trust they build. Things like there have been a couple of these teams when I go out and ask for names and pronunciation, they go, we don't know, we only call people by their nickname. I believe that was Stanford.
A whole new language out there with the nicknames.
Yeah, no, but you do. You build your own team language. You build the ways that you communicate, and it becomes part of what keeps you together and builds cohesion.
Looking for it all for McCarthy. Volbrecht is there. Batted but caught by McCarthy. Not in, though, ruled by the observer. And McCarthy will then dish it in for the score. to Monahan. But a travel is called, so the sideline's going to have to back out of there.
Oh, then I was confused. Okay. So I thought you were like walking. No, it's okay. I was in the end zone. I had to walk back out of the line. Oh. Yeah. So I thought she walked that way.
Okay, so no travel?
Yeah, you didn't walk that way? No. I walked this way.
Yeah, we called her not in, and then she came back to the line.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
So travel call, there's no travel. Thank you. It's a goal.
So some confusion there.
Hey, Zita.
Some definite confusion there. I think well-intentioned, but young player Georgia Welker-Kaler thinking that McCarthy had walked it in instead of walking it out of the end zone. But look again at this effort. Volbrecht versus McCarthy. Is that what we're going to see coming down the line at the end of this game? What a sweet taste and preview of some of what the best of both of these teams has to offer.
That was a great throw, Pose.
Talk about a sweet preview. This team has only dropped one game this season. That was to Carleton all the way back at Queen City Tune-Up. They got a win over the #1 seed UBC in quarterfinals here, but also previously at Stanford Invite. They've also taken down North Carolina twice this season. So they're battle tested right now, and you had to believe that despite Stanford punching, they were going to be ready with all those regular season games they've played and the victories they've accumulated.
Volbrecht getting all the love in the Discord right now. If you are not an Ultiworld subscriber, you want all the inside knowledge, you should do that now. Discord, one of my favorite parts about the Ultiverse, as we sometimes call it. Incredible community here in Ultimate.
You talked about the culture piece earlier, and this is one of those things. It's the community, as this throw just evades the hands of Bear. So Vermont with McCarthy on this defensive line right now. See if they can punch back with a break of their own. Score 2 straight. Silverman, number 12 in white, has had a great game as Stanford gets the block. Moving with pace here. Bear looking deep. Browning in coverage, and perhaps jumping early helped. Made Stanford do the same.
Bear was the one that got that block. Maybe that burst of adrenaline causing her to overthrow slightly. A contested coverage. Look at the compactness, though. Look how many players are being forced into this small space. And as these Vermont players are coming closer, it allows the Stanford defense to really collapse in.
McCarthy going to wind up for a back end. Volbrecht there, and not many Vermont receivers in sight as Fisher Lopez getting that one. Fast and furious action out here.
I thought for sure that Scopatoni was going to run that one down. That's been the second big save in those high pressure situations that we've seen from Fisher Lopez.
Philippek going to call a foul here on Silverman on the attempted block.
Philippek's been really quiet so far this second half. I think letting other players rise to the occasion. Would love to see a breakout and resurgence. Philippek has all the gears.
We're just here to listen.
Okay, I would just ask you if okay. I felt that I had touched the disc before the contact occurred. Differently.
I feel like I had the disc, and then because of the contact, because it was.
Okay. So we foul contest. We want to come to the observers for a ruling. Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Getting a little bit of the discussion there on the field. Philippek thought she had the disc. Have gone to the observers for an opinion. Going to be hearing more from that shortly.
Observer ruling is no foul on the play. And hold on one second. We are issuing a blue to Stanford, not to you directly, but to the Stanford team for repeated double teaming. Okay? So in your cup, it is repeated double teaming after a verbal warning. So that is a blue for excessive double teaming in the cup. Okay?
Lots of things to discuss here with
those
Mitch
first two have
Dangler.
been warnings, so future ones will result in a yardage penalty.
Okay.
Okay?
Future blue cards results in a yardage.
Any other blues or yellows will result in yardage penalties.
Okay,
So,
thank you for the clarification.
You're very welcome. Okay, so nearest defender to the disc. Do I have touch the ground nearest defender?
Mitch,
and say
give
disc?
us your thoughts on the two calls there. There was the no foul and then the card as well that was issued for repeated double teaming.
Well, the foul 12 just beat the receiver to the spot and got the D, no dangerous contact, no excessive contact. She just got the block. And then double teaming, you see, a lot of players around the disc constantly. You're only allowed one marker at a time, and a lot of players think that if there's a player in the area, then they can do what they want, and that's not necessarily how it goes.
Yeah, players able to collapse in and increase pressure once there's a second player, but as soon as that player leaves, they have to back out.
It's even beyond that, though. You have to collapse in, you have to guard the other player. So a lot of players will turn away from the crasher and go right to the thrower, and that's a double team. Yep.
Some really smart clarification there from Mitch Dangler. We did see a big turn. Lots of motion here. Theo guide us through it.
Multiple turns from each side. Vermont trying to huck for it all. And Stanford now working through. Bear. Two lefties on this O-line right now. Always adds more dynamicism to your team. That throw, we're going to sail out of bounds for another Stanford turnover on this, what is an offensive point.
I continue to be a little frustrated by Philippek. One of the things I love the most about her game, she's got some incredibly precise throws. She's shown so much touch in previous games. I don't know if this is a headspace thing, if you heard from Vermont really happy with the pressure. They feel like they've taken Philippek out of the equation, and I have to agree.
Fisher Lopez's coverage and pressure result in that turnover for Vermont. This throw going up. McCarthy in coverage, but Bear will get it with the left hand on the end zone line for Stanford. We'll throw this one out to Amelia Hawkins, who's collected a lot of goals for Stanford. That's the third one for 22, in the right place at the right time.
What a huge goal for Stanford. Back within one. That was a brawl. There were so many energy shifts within that point itself. But Stanford coming out hot. One of the things you want to see, the continued increase of the sideline presence, volume, and energy here in the semifinal.
We saw in that look, McCarthy kind of slowed up trying to chase Bear. Perhaps the mileage getting to some of these top players. They were able to extend and get the catch and eventually throw the assist. McCarthy back out for this Vermont side. I expect Stanford to come under their zone, Kelsey.
No, if I'm Stanford, absolutely. You want those increased number of touches. They have been getting Ds out of it. They've been able to pressure those small windows. Needing to stay disciplined in the front of that cup. You heard it. If there's another double team, if they're a little too overzealous, they will take yardage penalties. Not something we typically see at this at this college level.
Top and middle of the field. Once again against that Stanford zone. Walker Kelleher as the mark. Providing a lot of length right now for Superfly. In motion is Vermont as they try to get free of the clutches of this zone. Toppin's throw is knocked down. That's Lambert. So Stanford a chance to tie it up here.
And one of the nice things about the crossovers they have on the field right now, Volbrecht, Bear here on the counterattack. They could just really punish this Vermont team.
On top of that, they also have the deep threat of McGinley Smith on the field. Break side to Bear. Stanford trying to punch in and tie up this contest.
Volbrecht winning it with the legs.
Volbrecht then called on a travel. We'll just tap back in with the new rules. Keeping the pace of play flowing. Break side to Bear. With a little nifty inside shot. Volbrecht ruled not in. Bear working give and go with Volbrecht. Still not in the end zone. It is now though. And we have a tie game.
What a comeback. So many consecutive points for the Stanford team. Tied 9-9. I thought Vermont had it tied up. They really were so in control, but this Stanford team showing such resilience, hitting that upper gear, completely led by this amazing performance by Volbrecht.
Vermont's offensive line going back to the line here. 2 straight points delivered by Stanford.
Yeah, the pressure, Stanford just jumping on these lanes, creating all these opportunities, and finally showing more discipline, this patience, working in the red zone, coming one side across the field and then attacking back the other way, taking the right shots at the right time. And if I'm Vermont, I'm at a place where I actually kind of want to call a timeout and give your offense a chance to reset. The body language, we talked about the energy. They were so high. Now they're really, really low. I maybe want to start another dance party if I'm Vermont, regain some of that energy and poise. Now in the second half, they've already burned one. Maybe it's the risk of, wanting to keep one in their back pocket for when it comes down the line. But yeah, Vermont in a tough place. The momentum now completely on Stanford's side.
Stone trying to make a play will stay in bounds. See the ticker on your screen indicating the soft cap is in 17 minutes and about a half minute. 17 and a half minutes. No hard cap in the semis. Posey, Top, and McCarthy. That's the handler core. Trying to work it through. Throw's going to hang, but caught. Ella Monahan out there. A couple rookies on this offensive line. Tatum Trebilovich as well from Chapel Hill. We've already mentioned that. Has been a target in the downfield space for Vermont.
Love Georgia Walker-Keller in the front wall of this cup. Big wingspan, tall height, making it so difficult for this Vermont team to even consider going over the top. They're having to work it around. They're getting some, but the continuation after that, not there. Quan with the denial.
Quan wanted someone to throw it. Looked back and realized that wasn't the case, so settling into the stack here. Filipek now jogging up. But a throw from Filipek not going to work out, as they're trying to get their first lead since they were up 1-0 to start the game. Throw going on for McCarthy. Filipek trying to box out, but there was a foul called.
I might have hit your arm too. But
Getting another look here.
Okay.
Okay, so
McCarthy
we have
had
a foul.
position.
Are we contesting? Do I leave a foul contest or come to me
Filipek
for a
did
ruling?
well to engage.
My ruling was, it was a foul. It's here on 1.
Okay, so is ruled a foul. McCarthy will keep the disc. I'm surprised that wasn't called a violation. Filipek did well to catch up to the player downfield.
Posey looking for it in the end zone for McCarthy. Great run from McCarthy, reading the disc well, hauling in the score for Vermont.
Filipek was in the area, over-adjusted. McCarthy had the line on the disc. McCarthy getting it done, not once, but twice over Filipek to punch in this Vermont score.
You can see when McCarthy caught that goal, telling everybody to calm down. We have this, the body language very positive still, because they know that Stanford hit back. They're saying, let's relax, we got it.
Yeah, this just roller coaster of a semi. Riding some highs, riding some lows. Vermont just trying to come out a little bit more level. They've been up, they've been down. Can they execute and just walk it in? Love that confidence from McCarthy.
You've often heard the old adage, folks. Ultimate's a game it runs. You're seeing that right now. Vermont went up 6-2 at one point. Stanford now on a 5-1 run of their own to tie the game. And we've already said this again. I know Vermont fans aren't going to want to hear it, but they were down 8-5, up 8-5 at half to Colorado, ended up losing 15-8. So those demons still haunting in the background of this Vermont program. They're hoping to exercise that with a win here today.
Yeah, if you're Vermont, you want to let go of the past. You want to focus on the present. Just be really dialed into this game. It can be tough when it just feels like it's on your back and it's something you got to shake.
McGinley Smith had to climb the ladder to save that one. Possession saving for sure, potentially game saving as well, with margins as thin as they are. Obrecht, a couple fakes, reset to who? Philippek not on the field for this point, so hoping that they can get a hold without number 5, and then Philippek can then power the defensive line.
Vermont just in lockdown D mode. Nothing there for this Stanford team.
Talked about the rookies already. That's another one. Ella Pauley now looking for Berman. Throw is too far.
She'll test Volbrecht. Volbrecht says, no, my space, my end zone. Try again. Not on this point.
Vermont going with a quick D-line offense here. And then able to set up their defensive look with Scopatone on the mark. Driving up a high stall. And it's reeled in by Annie Posey.
Good recognition there from Posey. Saw the disc popping up, went to occupy the space.
Emily Posey looking for Berman. Berman's been an intended target for multiple points for Vermont, and just some of those throws haven't been able to click to find number 3.
Yeah, Berman attacking the spaces, but it's been so hard to execute on the type of creative throws that both these teams typically like to hit. Yesterday, minimal wind, lots of sunshine. They had free license to take their shots. Today is really testing them.
Running it in into the hands was McGinley Smith. Good awareness right there. You talk about the weather. It's been almost like 3 stanzas. Friday had its own lightning issues. Yesterday, very sunny. Today got the rain. No lightning so far as we knock on wood for that. Stanford moving forward. Who now with it? It hits McGinley Smith for the score. We're tied up once again.
Punch and punch back. Both teams finding that upper gear. This is the game that I wanted. Both of these teams have such high ceilings. I wanted to see them execute, climb and climb and climb, and see who gets to the top first. One of the things that'll be a factor here, both these teams with players playing both ways, really leaning on their star talent. This is when conditioning comes into play. Did you do the work? How far can you push your bodies? How much can these players suffer? They will have a full day to recover if they can lock up this game and make it to the finals.
Stanford calling their first timeout of this second half. You have to think they're going to try to put on a kill line of some sort, a power line.
Do they have to be facing them or just like going with them?
They have to face them. When you run at them with your face And as long as we're within 10 feet of that player, it's not a double team. Of that player that we're responding to.
Reacting to
yes, and
the player coming in.
Perfect. Okay, we got that one.
Thank you. Thank you.
So listening in there to the huddle for Stanford, you saw the incredible game that McKinley Smith is having. McKinley Smith, part of that 1-2 punch. Usually it's Philibreck and McKinley Smith. Seeing here the performance stand out from Volbrecht. So many players to talk about and celebrate on the Stanford team. They're hyped up. They want to do the defensive pressure. We're excited to see what they bring.
Darren Byerly, Sarah Jacoby, talking to the offensive line. Also, Elizabeth Leon, part of the coaching staff. And see Sophie Acker walking off the field. Good to see that Acker's made the trip with this Vermont side.
Stanford continuing to cross over. Volbrecht, Kwan, McGinley Smith. You're going to see Welker Keeler again. Just throwing everything, keeping nothing in the tank. This is do or die. Stanford knows it.
You call a timeout, you're going to put on a huge power line here. But Philippek not on the field. You mentioned Philippek a little bit off today in this game, and perhaps the Stanford coach is aware of that, going to give her a rest, at least for this point. That throw looked dangerous, but it's snagged out of the air. Clater, former D-line player, stepping up into the offense this year. Person defense, or it was actually a block from McGinley Smith. They were staying in that zone. McGinley Smith gets a block, and number 5, count that, 5 blocks from McGinley Smith. Now turning underneath. Watches the line.
Love how McGinley Smith took that look deep and turned it into massive yardage under.
Hugh looking for Volbrecht. The left hand was there, but not enough for the catch.
Just too much edge on that throw. It was inches. That would have been a huge blow.
McCarthy tips it, tried to elevate really high, knowing the presence of Volbrecht was there. When you have a deep defender presence like that, you're going to try to jump up a little bit early.
Volbrecht a little shaken, doesn't want to take the injury. Instead, calls in for Hugh to help on the pickup.
That's a veteran maneuver as well, knowing your limitations and also trusting your teammates. Kwan now looking for the aforementioned Volbrecht. Going across the field. We're so close to a break earlier. Scooped up. It's going to be ruled caught. Needing options, finding Volbrecht. Break side, and Stanford takes the lead.
Break back from Stanford. They were there, they got the chance, they gave it up, but they get it back and they punch it in, and it's beautiful red zone offense. This is the Stanford, this is the high level, this is the team that built Carleton in that first pool plo game. Folks, this is what you came to see.
Lucy Volbrecht to the end zone. Annika Kwan brings it in for the Superfly score.
Take another look at this, dude. The smackdown, volleyball style, just into the ground. The save from who? And then just smooth. Siobhan Yip there finds the reset, and then all break side all day for this Stanford team. Kwan was in the hunt, zigzagging, using legs, pulling defense, clearing out effectively, gets rewarded with the score.
Vermont going to be searching for answers here right now. The run that Stanford's been on has been amazing to see right now. This is Stanford's first lead since 1-0. Vermont was up at half 8-4, and now it's 11-10. Throw going up. Too far from McCarthy. Vermont just wanting it all in one shot.
And that's maybe nerves. That might be inexperience here. We talked about Vermont. They've been here, but they've never been past it. They haven't made it to the finals yet. They can taste it, but do they believe? Right now in this semifinal team, sometimes it comes down to belief, and Stanford has been here so many times before.
Volbrecht with a nice grab from Filipek, who's on the field now for Stanford. So you rested number 5, got a break, and now put her back on the field. Bear also joining on this line, finding Lambert. But a travel is called. In a pre-tournament interview, Vermont had talked about playing patient offense. We're seeing on a few of these points that's not the case, where they're resorting back to throwing it deep a little bit more than they would like.
Folks, something to take into consideration. We're not at cap yet, but we are so close.
McCarthy's presence helps that block as Vermont on the move. Offensive point for them. Shot going up. But the only person there is Volbrecht from Stanford.
Again, I think nerves. I want Vermont to be hitting these resets. I want Vermont to be maintaining possession. I don't like these shots. Yes, okay, high stall, but look higher. Look sooner. Really lean into your resets and your systems. Vermont just looking shaken right now.
We talked about the road that they've had. And they're going to get it back with a block here. Annie Posey making a play. They've, in pool play, relatively untested. They had that big quarterfinal win by 2 points over UBC. And now they're really going to have to settle in here and dig against this Stanford zone, which is still going to be played near their own end zone. McCarthy, Scuba. A couple players in the area, but it's caught by Berman. They've tried to connect with Berman a few times. They do it there.
Huge play by Berman. I don't know how it got through so much traffic. Vermont converging on Berman. Berman's been doing all the work, really trying to earn that. Finally gets one. Take another look. So first that incredible D effort from Posey. Look at this shaky over the top. Defense absolutely converging on this. Filipek was right there, pulling up maybe to avoid contact from Volbrecht. How does that go through? Filipek, Volbrecht with the cross section, and it makes it through both of them.
As a coach, I don't think that's how you drew it up. That's all I'm going to say. You didn't draw up a Scuba in the midst of multiple defenders. Now let's take a look at the Stanford O-line. Who, Bear out on the field. Fisher, Lopez, McGinley, Smith. Of course, Volbrecht as well. McCutter, Hewlett as well on the line, a big-time cutter for them. Been a bit quiet for Stanford so far.
This is a big one for Stanford. They really want to be up one when the horn goes off. It's a huge advantage. This is time management just as much as it is possession management. They are fighting the clock. And Behrman gets the score, gets the D.
McCarthy looking for Berman, but that throw is going to be short. Perhaps a little too excited, too gung-ho for that.
That would have been fairy tale, but Volbrecht ready to play the villain here.
Juan loaded up the backhand. Gonna go safe reset instead. Tensions high in Madison as we're heading towards a soft gap and a drop from Fisher Lopez.
Fisher Lopez has pulled up so many chances, but this one just off the fingers.
Posey not in just yet. And now it's a score to Silverman. Vermont gets the break.
Huge celebration, huge on the field rush. Stanford has had an incredible run. Did they spend too much to get here? Again, a look at that smackdown from Behrman. Big eyes, headed for the end zone. Didn't get it that time. But look at the legs. Look at the work here from this Vermont team.
Your team in that zone.
That's the best red zone offense they have had, maybe this half, definitely in the last 5 or 6 points.
We talked about the game of runs here. Vermont has now pushed back. We'll figure out the cap situation once this next point is scored. We'll keep you updated on that. What an exciting contest here in the first of 2 women's semifinals that are happening simultaneously this weekend.
Of all the breaks that Vermont has scored, that may have been the most crucial. Stanford could taste it. They were almost up, they know cap's coming, and instead now it's Vermont that has the edge.
Colorado up 12-9 in the other semifinal against North Carolina. Not sure how many people called that at the beginning of this weekend. Fisher Lopez back out on the field, had that big drop earlier, and coaching staff entrusting Fisher Lopez to get the job done. Over to Quan. Quan looking for Volbrecht. Some of these throws popping up here. Fans on the sideline hoping for a travel call. A lot of air miles taken there.
It is so windy, I can't hear anything they're saying.
Are they talking about 2 throws back?
Oh, I'm not agreeing with you. I just want to make sure that people.
I haven't gotten it in any other game this season.
Okay, a couple of steps, but I don't think really for
So come on over and talk.
personal opinion.
I feel like every catch is.
Mitch Dangler's telling us travel.
Yeah, so we have a travel that is called.
I know, but I feel like there's so many of them.
Mitch, I'm never bringing you to league
Well,
with
you're
me,
calling
ever,
this
ever.
one, so I think that's where we'll keep the conversation at. Yeah.
I guess just like one thing is we haven't gotten it all season, so it feels hard to get it right now in this moment. Suddenly everybody's getting called to travel, so I just hope you could acknowledge that as well.
Okay, yeah, no, I understand.
I hear you're saying I'll be mindful of it for sure.
Excellent. Ruckus, thank you. I thank you for the conversation. Okay, we're going to restart here with the check. All right, is there any stall count? I don't think there is. Okay, so we're going to restart here with the defensive check coming in on stalling 1. Go ahead, check when ready, Vermont.
Long stoppage, but we're finally back in play. So tough for Stanford to have to level their energy back up again.
Great catch from Bear, evading the hands of Silverman. Now Quan with the disc, trying to point out some instructions to some teammates, but that throw is going to go right into the hands of McCarthy.
Stanford was just threading it through, but now McCarthy immediately attacking. Was looking for Behrman. You're seeing some head shakes from Behrman going, was that for me? Was that for Volbrecht? But I think McCarthy just wanting to play position and field.
Issa Berman has really stepped up for this Vermont side, getting some blocks and some receptions for them. Working at the edge of this zone for Vermont. Juan gonna dial up this backhand. McGinley Smith trying to track it down. Goes over the head of both her and Emily Posey.
McGinley Smith started to adjust, but then bodied and played the defender instead of the disc, unable to get far enough. Another opportunity for Vermont.
Throw evades the hands of Emily Posey, so Bear with it. Hits who? On the doorstep of the end zone. Flipping it to Quan for the score. Stanford gets the hold. The best words in Ultimate coming for you right now. Universe point in this women's semifinal between Stanford and Vermont.
The scoreboard still has a minute left, so I don't know which one's right.
Another look at Quan here on this red zone. You saw the throw to McCarthy. McCarthy airing it out. Stanford able to take that and just fight back. Quan fighting, looking, unable to get there for McGinley Smith, but the short field turn breathes new life. Valuing the disc possession here finally in this red zone. Quan with the score, can't throw it, will catch it. Universe point shot. Stanford's been here. They know what it feels like. Vermont can taste the finals for the first time. They keep progressing up and up. Could this be their year?
You have a hand. 20 to pull.
Vermont out here on offense.
Filipek with the big pull starts Vermont deep, but they're moving it quickly.
Posey gets rejected. We're just gonna let you know that it might not be Universe because the clock started late. So we're gonna keep you updated as soon as we're aware of this cap situation. Filipek now gets rejected by McCarthy. Point blocks abound in this women's semifinal.
McCarthy has had Filipek's number. Vermont with another opportunity.
A bobble from Berman.
Top in there, unable to keep it live.
Soft cap is now on. This is not Universe point, folks. We just got clarification. Filipek now. Looking for the end zone for Bear. And just out of bounds.
Too far. These same third throws are so frustrating. I want to see them attacking with better angles. And I want to see Filipek use her legs. Her throws haven't been all dialed in, but she's got such incredible foot speed. Did they overuse her just getting into this game? Really tough to see, but this is all crucial here.
Vermont going for it again with the Hawk. Stone, second effort grab. Lots of numbers for Vermont right now. They elect to kind of slow it down here. Toppin finds McCarthy. McCarthy always looking ready to load up a backhand. You can see it. Little give and go. McCarthy, Toppin. Going with the scuba again. And it's going to work out for Vermont.
Over the top to Stone. Stone with the big save. Stone again in the end zone. Everything is clicking again for this Vermont team. Without, and there's a little bit of wind, but without the heavy wind, without the rain, you're seeing again the creativity, the options that Vermont loves to go to. They haven't had those earlier in the game. Now you're seeing it, and Stanford doesn't have a response.
With the Vermont score, we're playing to 14, folks. Playing to 14.
And now this becomes an all-important offensive point for Stanford. They've been in this place before, this game, several times. They've been able to dig deep and respond, but how much do they have left in the tank? They've been crossing over aggressively this entire second half. Went on that huge 7-2 run. But with Vermont clicking again, without the pressure taking away Vermont's over the tops, Vermont has been so successful at making things miserably hard for the Stanford handle set. Filipek not functioning on all cylinders. Filipek not on the field?
That is right, not on the field right now for Stanford. Bolbrecht, McGinley, Smith, Bear, Fisher, Lopez, Kwan, Hu, and Hawkins are your offensive players for Stanford. Emily Posey out on this defensive point. Of course, you're going to see Kennedy McCarthy out there as well.
We heard it from the coaches, play who's hot. Be aware to that, be tuned in.
Berman, Scopatoni around the disc, same thing with McCarthy.
You know who's hot. Kwan has been heating up this whole second half.
Fisher Lopez hitting it to this close sideline to Kwan. Scopatoni almost there for a block as the disc moves over to Hugh. Hu with it, finding back to Fisher Lopez. Sidelines packed with fans anticipating this great result right now. It's a game to 14. Stanford on offense right now. 6th seed in this tournament. Both teams going undefeated in pool play, winning their respective quarterfinals. Bear looking deep for hoop. Emily Posey smacking it down. Almost a second effort from Stanford, but it's going to stay the way of Vermont. A chance to break for the win.
She looked so open, but Posey was just baiting it. You know who else baits it? Volbrecht there with the D.
Volbrecht bursting up line now. This will now rest in the hands instead of Fisher-Lopez. Volbrecht going around the horn now. Stanford catches the score. It's Hawkins. And now it's Universe point.
That has got to be deliberate from Hawkins. That's the second kind of no-kick spike she's done. Celebrations, the culture, the energy still high. Stanford still in it. Game to 14, Theo.
Now we can say Universe point confident.
Now we can say
Universe point. The best words in Ultimate. Universe point in a national semifinal.
Looked at those traded Ds there. I loved this big swing. I'm typically not a fan, but it gives them the open lane shot to Hawkins. What more can you want from a semifinal at college nationals?
Stanford calling a timeout here. No timeouts left. It's the players you put on the field right now to decide who's going to head to the national final.
Energy high in the Stanford huddle. They're here, they believe. Vermont wants to believe. They're in the hunt. First final attempt. They'd love to be there. And they get to receive. They get that offense. But if you're Stanford, do you almost want to be in that defensive space? Especially, we've had no clean holds.
Volbrecht, Hu, Kwan, McGinley, Smith, Bear out there. Yip as well. Vermont going with their standard offensive line. This is it, folks. The final point of this contest in what has been an instant classic. But any momentum that Stanford wanted gets sapped temporarily with a pull out of bounds. Lambert also on the field here for Stanford. That's the 7th player on the line for Superfly.
Stanford again will fall into this zone look. They're looking to limit any pull play options.
And a bauble from Emily Posey gives a red zone opportunity for Stanford, a chance to break for the win. Volbrecht now with the disc, marked by McCarthy. Needs a reset. Going around, sliding for the grab is Bear. Low throw scooped up by Volbrecht. Looking into the end zone. Stanford pulls off the comeback. They break to win and are headed to the national final.
Huge play. Kwan had a phenomenal game. What an absolute thriller of a semifinal. That momentary lack of concentration, a casual, not even in the rain turn, the big save from Bear, the scoop up from Volbrecht. Didn't have an option, but then who else but Kwan What a phenomenal second half. The huge celebration, the tears of joy, the sideline. Believe it, can't believe it.
Stanford taking it 14-13. We'll be back shortly with the interview with Sage McGinley-Smith.
The 2024 USA Ultimate College Championships are presented by Discraft, home of the Ultrastar, the official disc of USA Ultimate. Your place for all your ultimate and disc golf needs. Visit discraft.com. We make flying discs fun.
Back on the field here. We're going to go to field side with Sage McGinley-Smith from Stanford, the winning team in this contest. What a game from you, Sage. 5 blocks, along with 3 goals. What was the key to success for your team there in the second half to really make this comeback happen?
I think, sorry. I think that we just really believed that we could win this game. We came together at half, we looked at the scoreboard and we said we can turn this around and this game is not over. And we knew that we had everything we needed to win this game. We just had a couple of funky points in the first half, but we knew from seeing ourselves play all weekend that we had what it takes to win this game. So we did.
I love that, love that. So many incredible plays that happened in the second half. Is it a blur? Do you remember? What sticks out to you of the second half? What was a highlight?
So many things. I think what sticks out to me most is just I think every single player that was on the field, that was on the sideline, was contributing in that second half. Everyone on the sideline was screaming. I think everybody lost their voice. Everybody on the field, the D's and the scores, it was all everybody was getting blocks, everybody was scoring. And I think that's what I remember most. I also specifically remember Macy Volbrecht just taking control in a couple of those points. And she just decided that she was gonna not let herself get D'd a single time in this half, and just every single time the disc came near her, she just snatched it up and made such great chilly plays. And yeah, she was just incredible as well. But everybody played great, clearly.
Yeah, you definitely had contributions from up and down the roster. Now moving into tomorrow, I don't know if it's surreal yet, but you're in the final.
Yeah.
You're in the final. What's the messaging to the team as you prepare for that great game?
Not much different, honestly. I think all weekend we've said, we came into this weekend knowing we had what it takes to win a national championship, and I think that the whole weekend we've proved in every single game that we have what it takes, and it's just one more game to prove that we have it.
Thank you so much for joining us, Sage. Wishing you the best of luck in the final tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a good one.
What a game, folks. Take a breath. This was a contest to remember, an instant classic for sure. Take a look at the game stats. Kelsey, what stands out to you?
Vermont with the clean holds. Look at that just eye-shattering number of turnovers, 46, 45. Break chances. By all rights, Vermont should have won this game. Looking at this, you really see the opportunities. You see what Vermont brought to bear, but Stanford able to carve it out, able to get the scores when it mattered, the breaks when it mattered, push it in at the end.
A contest to remember for Stanford, coming back from down 8-4 to pull off this win. A remarkable second half from them. And you heard from Sage the belief this team had. They consistently believed that they could do it. and they pulled off the victory, a comeback win at that, and off to the national final. For Vermont, what a season. Only one loss on the year. You took down North Carolina multiple times, took down UBC as well in the season and at this tournament.
McCarthy, Valbrecht, matchups up and down. Huge performances by Bear. I don't think we've talked enough about Quan. We've talked her up all up and down the field. McKinley Smith, just the D's by McKinley Smith. The spaces, the assertiveness there.
The disc-graph play of the game coming from McKinley Smith with that block, swiping it down with the right hand, helping propel Stanford's amazing second half.
I gotta say, such a huge fan of this Vermont team. I think they've got a bright future. Stanford, though.
They take the contest. They're off to the national final. They win 14-13.